This meeting will come to order, and I'll ask Ms. Story to give the Pledge of Allegiance.
All right, let's stand. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Ms. Story.
You're welcome.
And we need a certification of closed meeting, Mr. Wall.
Resolution of certification of the closed meeting of May 9th, 2019 pursuant to Section 2.2-3712 of the Code of Virginia 1950 as amended.
Second.
If board members will please vote, please, on the podium, on the screen in front of them. Oh, Mr. Mitnick.
Brian,
No, we're using the city. We're using the city box. I'm sorry.
thank you.
Motion carried.
Next order of business is the approval of our agenda.
Madam Chair, I move that we approve the agenda as presented.
Second. Board members will please vote. Motion carried.
Public speakers on agenda topics.
No one has signed up to speak.
No one signed up. And next, we have reports by the superintendent, Dr. Whitney.
Yes, of course, you've already heard our honor graphs. The only other item that we have as far as reports by the superintendent is our calendar of special events. We have a lot going on in the next 2 months. As far as this week is concerned, this is the National Teacher Appreciation Week, where we honor all of our teachers, as well as our teacher assistants on May 8th. National School Nurse Day is on May 8th as well, or was on May 8th. We have a variety of activities. I'll point out a few. The Suffolk Education Foundation Grown-Up Spelling Bee on May 18th. I'm still looking for team members, by the way. We also have our retirement banquet, where we recognize those employees who are retiring from our school division, College and Career Academy at Pruden Award Ceremony, and of course graduation on June 8th. Back to you, Ms. Chair, Madam Chair.
Next item is the consent agenda. This is an action item.
Madam Chair, I move for the approval of all items on the consent agenda.
Second. If board members will please vote. Motion carried.
Under unfinished business, Dr. Whitney.
Yes, the first item you can see is our school board's approval of the financial plan, a meeting that we're requesting a special meeting, or I've suggested a special meeting to adopt the financial plan. That meeting date is May 16th, 7 p.m., to be held at the school administration office.
I'd like to request that we change that meeting date, if we could, to a different day. I won't be in town and I didn't see that on the calendar. I think that was recently put on. So if we could consider a different date, I would appreciate that.
Open to that?
Anybody? I got the 16th.
Chose that date as opposed to another date because you're going to be out of town, aren't you, Mr.
Yeah,
Whitney?
I think certain board members have other obligations and will be out of town as well. So we had to find a date we thought would be acceptable. And that's just for
Miss-
the approval, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Just
Mr. Mitnick, when are you out of town?
The 19th through the 24th. And I'm fine if you need to hold it that week.
Would earlier be possible? on Monday or Tuesday? Is that a possibility next
We
week?
have to wait until,
The board approves, I'm sorry, the city council approves on the 15th, correct?
Oh,
Right, so we have to.
sorry, I didn't know that.
Sorry.
Well, it would be too late. That's fine.
I move that we meet we accept the date that's presented, May 16th.
Second.
Board members will please vote. Motion carried.
Next item, ordinance 18/19-70. I believe this is the second reading concerning committees and boards.
Move to approve.
second,
Board members will please vote. Motion carried.
Under new business, the appointment of designee for the superintendent, Dr. Whitney.
Yes, as you can see, it has listed designee/interim superintendent, but we asked to change that to just designee. As you are aware, we currently have two designees already approved as far as the designee for the superintendent. At this time, our recommendation is for our designee to be Dr. LaToya Harrison during the time I'm on leave.
Move to approve.
I second.
Board members will please vote. Motion carried.
The next item is the approval of the superintendent's search firm. I believe you all received recently a packet of information that the clerk distributed and was online as well on the Virginia School Board Association. Just a few comments about that. The Virginia School Board Association has over 40 years of experience in searching for superintendents. They have 65 current Virginia superintendents who were a result of their search services. They have completed searches for urban, suburban, and rural divisions across Virginia. Gina Patterson, who is the VSBA Executive Director, has conducted superintendent searches since 1998 and has served on the national affiliation of superintendent searches. The VSBA does not select the superintendent for the division. All decisions are made by the school board, and all actions taken by the VSBA are at the direction of the board. Are there any comments or discussion on the Virginia School Board Association as search team?
I'd just like to say, I think it would be a very wise decision to choose the VSBA to lead our search for the next superintendent.
I agree.
I agree as well.
Yes.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
you would be the official spokesperson on behalf of the board to the SBA, correct? Okay.
Any other items?
I'd like to make a motion that we hire the Virginia School Board Association to lead our superintendent search.
Second.
Board members will please vote. Motion carried.
The next item is the 2018-2019 school calendar change. Dr. Whitney?
Yes, we do have a minor change that we'd like to recommend for our school calendar for this year. I'm going to call to the podium Dr. LaToya Harrison to share with you the recommended change. Dr. Harrison.
Thank you, Dr. Whitney. Good evening. You will see in your board books a memo requesting approval to modify the June 11th date on our calendar, which is currently a full day of school for all students, and we are requesting permission to modify that to a half day of school to accommodate teacher record keeping for exams during the exam period, as our secondary principals were planning and recognized that this was on the calendar and asked us if we would be able to make this change. And so we would like to propose this, considering the fact that we have not used any days for inclement weather this year. This does not pose any challenge with the required number of hours that we have to have according to the state, which is, as you see in the memo, we are required to have a minimum of 990 hours of instruction, and we're still far beyond that, even with this change.
Any other questions, concerns?
Madam Chair, I move that we accept the change for the calendar.
Second.
If board members will please vote. Motion carried.
Next item on new business is the Resolution 18/19-29 concerning agreement between Suffolk Public Schools and the Virginia Retirement System to allow people who are eligible to participate in the long-term care insurance program.
Right. I'm going to call Mrs. Wendy Forsman to come up to give us a little bit more information about that. And then if we could afterwards go back to the special education annual plan, item number 4. But Ms. Forsman?
Good evening. We received information from the Virginia Retirement System about a month ago asking us inviting school divisions to participate in a completely voluntary benefit for our employees. After reading through the material, we don't offer this as a benefit to our employees. We don't offer it at all. This is long-term care insurance. It's completely voluntary. An employee can choose to do this. It does not run through our payroll. They go to the VRS and they sign up for it, and they pay through either an automatic payment process or whatever. But we felt like it would be a nice way to offer our employees a type of insurance that we don't currently offer to them. Some are very interested. We've had lots of calls over the last 3 or 4 years of folks requesting, could we please try to get this insurance? Could we please try to offer it? So we thought at this time, since the VRS is offering us an opportunity to come into their group and do this, that it would be a good time for us to offer this to the employees for next school year. So there's an adoption agreement, and I think that's in your packet, and so it's an action item for you to decide if this is something that you would like us to do.
Questions?
Madam Chair, I recommend that we offer this option.
Second.
Who seconded that? Oh. Board members will please vote. Motion carried.
And we'll return back, excuse me, I skipped one item, Special Education Annual Plan. Dr. Whitney?
Yes, Mrs. Glover, our Director of Special Education, will be presenting the highlights of the special education plan for this year. Mrs. Glover.
Good evening, Madam Chair, Madam Vice Chair, Superintendent, and school board members. I will be presenting to you the proposed 1920 Special Education Annual Plan, Part B, flow-through application. So just in general, what the application is, this application is submitted annually to receive federal funds for special education under the Title 6B of IDEA 2004. Department of Education provides each locality with guidelines and requirements, part of which we have to share the application with our SEAC and as well as with the school board for final approval. This application or these funds provided, they must be used only for the provision of special education services and related services for students with disabilities within the school division. It's a formula-driven allocation in which it considers historical funding, what we've received in the past. It considers the total student population and poverty level. The allocations are divided into 2 sections. Section 611, which pertains to school-aged children with disabilities ages 6 through 21, And then there's the section 619 for students aged 3 through 5 who have disabilities. Although we have received, I think it was just last week, we received our preliminary allocations for the coming year. Generally, this is just, we use a conservative approach in that we consider the amount that we received the previous year. The amount that we have received for next year so far will be revised, revisited, and then we'll get a new allocation amount in October, and then it'll be changed again, and we'll get another allocation in February. So the final allocation won't really be determined until February. So for the purposes of this application, we use the amount that we received last year. So how are the funds used? The 611 fund, which is for our school-age students aged 6 through 21, it pays the salaries and benefits for special education teachers, some special education teachers, some special education teacher assistants, one school social worker, job coaches, one at each high school, and bus assistants. The previous allocation that we received last year was $3,020,596. The other section, section 619, which serves our students aged 3 through 5, it pays a portion of the salary and benefits for one special education preschool teacher. The allocation last year was $59,042. Other requirements within the plan, these are three. There are other requirements that don't apply to us, but the other three that do apply to us within the plan is the interagency agreement, maintenance of effort, and proportionate set-aside, and I'll go through each of those. The interagency agreement, we do have an interagency agreement with the regional jail, and that is Western Tidewater Regional Jail. Students with disabilities who are incarcerated, they do receive special education services. We have one teacher that serves those students at Western Tidewater Regional Jail. That position is funded through a separate grant, however. Next, we have the proportionate set-aside, and this is just where school divisions must set aside a portion of those funds that we receive through the grant so that we could provide services to students who are parentally placed in private schools or homeschool students. And so basically, we use a calculation based on our December 1 child count, and in that December 1 child count, we have, this past December, we had 1,880 students. But outside of that, we had 26 students that were noted to be parentally placed private school and homeschool that were students with disabilities. So for those students, we have to set aside an amount of money that is calculated using our proportionate set aside. It's the formula that you see at the bottom. And then the number of students that we had reported on our December 1 child count. So the total for that set aside is $42,789.13. And the students that are served through these funds, typically we provide services to students who receive related services. So they don't get the full spectrum of services, but they do get related services of OT, PT, and speech. I said they get them, they're offered them. So we write a service plan, and if the parents agree to those services, then those students can receive those services of OT, PT, and speech. These funds can also be used for the transportation that's required for the teacher to provide the service, as well as the transportation that may be required for the student to receive the services. One thing we did additionally, we're starting this year, is that we'll also add into it a component of not instructional services, but more so supports for our private schools. So if we have a student with a disability that is attending a private school, we would still write a service plan and just give the school just some recommendations on how to best serve the student. So it won't be a full IEP or individualized education plan, but it'll be a service plan to just support the student. And then the next requirement is the maintenance of effort. And this particular section is filled out by our finance department, but the requirement here is that each school division has to spend at least the same amount of money or local or state funds each year or more. So the same amount or more, and then if you compare the plan that we had last year to the plan we have this year, you'll see that each of these amounts are at least what it was last year or more. And that's the annual plan, proposed plan for this year. Any questions regarding this plan?
Anybody have any questions?
Ms. Glover?
Yes.
I saw that on page 8, you included that SEAC is a part of this.
No, they're not a part of the development. They have to receive it. They have to review it. And
review it, right.
And it was mailed to them last week.
For SEAC, because I know you work with them and you attend their meetings and so on, just a request that all of their materials and just the fact that we have that SEAC advisory committee, that we get that on all the websites for our schools so parents know about it. And then come next fall, if we could make sure that their literature is available for any orientations that are at the schools, and so that we have copies readily available for that advisory committee. Is that good?
Sure, that's not a problem. We actually do have, one of our secretaries in our office created a pamphlet holder, and every school has a pamphlet holder that includes a SEAC brochure. It includes brochures related to special ed, whether it's from the Department of Education. We actually even created our own brochure that's like a flip chart, and it includes information there as well for SEAC. And on our page, there is information about the dates for SEAC. SEAC is in the process of developing their own website, which we could certainly share that once they've done that.
Maybe could we include like a link to, because I know
Sure.
they have a state
I think,
SEAC
right, we've had
plus
some,
to theirs. Can you just
Yes,
double
ma'am.
check to see that we have working links?
yes, we've had some question about that, and I think Ms. Bradshaw's been in on the conversation. Is once they develop their website or whatever it is, as long as it meets the requirements that we use for our website, we can link. But we, say, for example, like the comments and things like that. So as long as it aligns with how we do our websites, that would not be a problem.
Would it be a problem linking to the state SEAC?
I'm not
Do you
sure.
know?
I'm sure they could contact, and I'll assist if needed.
Okay, thank you.
Not a problem.
Any others? This is thank you,
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Glover. This is an action item.
I move that we adopt the special education annual plan for 2019, 2020.
Second.
Board members will please vote. Motion carried.
Next item is public speakers on non-agenda topics.
We do not have anyone signed up to speak.
Oh, excuse me, back to a resolution I skipped. Resolution 18/19-30. Resolution concerning superintendent's authority to expend end-of-year funds for fiscal year 2018-2019 for designated repairs and purchasing needs.
Yes, Madam Chair, as you know, the Finance Committee met and we shared recommendations and have a list of items that we'd like to include as far as end-of-year spending in the event, well, we know we will have some, but we don't know how much. As you can see, some of the things that are recommended are included as round 2 of the middle school facelift project. We did somewhat major facelift projects at John F. Kennedy, so we have an additional middle school we'd like to include. Specialty instructional furniture replacement, interior professional painting at 2 of our buildings, middle school athletic uniform replacement, which has not been replaced since we began our middle school sports program, copier replacement, this is project round number 3, additional access controls or rear exterior doors, as we talked about in a previous board meeting as far as some of our elementary schools specifically. Additional interactive boards, this would be round 2, major roof repairs, playground equipment, speed bumps at the high school parking lots, stadium, bathroom paint and repair at 2 of our high school, exterior window blinds is included, replacement buses, bleacher inspections, replacement Chromebooks and computers, parking lot stripping, repairs, grease trap, septic pump out tanks as well. While I've included all of these items, it's not to suggest that all of these items would necessarily take place this year, but we like to have an approved list so that once we determine how much we do have end-of-year funds, we can move from this list based on the priority needs.
Move to approve.
Board members will please vote. Motion carried.
And now we have business by board members. Ms. Jenkins?
Did you want to do public speakers again?
Oh, public speakers, we didn't have any?
There was no one registered.
Okay,
Sorry.
all right. Business by board members, Ms. Jenkins?
Not much. I just want to say I've had the opportunity to attend a few engagements where we did the National Day of Prayer, and I know the school board was there, and that was a really nice event for us to get together and mingle with some of the other city officials as well as people in the community. Also, I think you might want to speak on the one that the schools in my district was honored at East End Baptist Church.
Yes, they were.
Last week, and there's pictures of it, but the principals were there. It was Mac Ben, Booker T, and John F. Kennedy was honored at East End Baptist Church, which is one of our partners with the school system. And my daughter was one of the ones who presented the awards, who was at East End Baptist Church. And I just like the relationship that our partners have with the school system, and hopefully we can even engage in more partnerships, because it's just a win-win situation when the people in our community collaborate with us here, with the school board, with the students, and as well with the teachers. So I just say kudos to everybody, and have a good evening.
Mr. Mitnick?
Yes. First, I'd like to say that Dr. Brooks Buck and I attended the Access College Foundation's College Commitment Rally on April 30th at Ted Constant Center. It was a great opportunity, and the excitement of the kids who had been accepted at college was really outstanding. 3 Suffolk Public School students received special scholarships that day, and I was honored, as I'm sure Dr. Brooks Buck was, to attend and represent the school board. Dr. Whitney mentioned Teacher Appreciation Week, and I'd just like to highlight that, and Teacher Assistant Day. I was invited to serve lunch today to the faculty and staff at Creekside in recognition of the celebration. I had a great time and had an opportunity to personally thank our staff there, and I'd like to thank all of our teachers and teacher aides and nurses during Nurse Day this week, and for all that you do for our students. And finally, as we begin our SOL testing next week, I'd like to thank everyone that was involved in preparing our students. I wish them all well, and I know testing takes a special amount of time and recognition and attention to detail, and I'd like to thank all those individuals that were involved in making our SOL testing program successful.
Ms. Mayo?
Good evening to everyone. I would like to thank the Bulldog family of Kings Fork High School and Dr. Lee for the invitation during the Teacher Appreciation Luncheon. I enjoyed my visit there, and certainly good things are going on at Kings Fork. I would like to commend the Kings Fork family for their fine work. In addition, I had the privilege of attending SOL night last evening at Forest Glen Middle School. Preparations for SOL testing, great teaching aids, learning activities for the students who attended the SOL night with their parents. And it was wonderful to see how the parents could help their children as they prepared for the SOL tests. I'd like to commend Mrs. Jonetta Vaughn for the fine work and the presentation last evening, and she was very animated, and you could tell that she was in her element as she taught us, and Dr. Brooks Buck even made a box. And she proudly held up her box for everybody to see, which was part of those great activities. It was a great evening. Also, Board Member Story was in attendance as well, and we really enjoyed that. Great work at Forest Glen and preparation for our SOLs. And again, thanks to Dr. Whitney, the hard-working staff at the school administrative offices, to all our administrators, our teachers, everyone with Suffolk Public Schools for making our school system the best that it can be. Thank you.
Mr. Riddick?
That's excited to be here. I had an opportunity to speak with several youth to encourage and prepare them for SOL testing. Outside of being on the school board, I participate in a tutoring program called Academic Express, and we have a lot of students who are from different schools in the city of Suffolk who was able to go through their series, and I'm looking forward to those SOL results coming in because I know we're going to have a lot of youth who pass on the first time around.
Good evening. I have had a couple of requests for some what's called a Chromebook management program. I've gotten some letters from the high schools now that we're using Chromebooks so much, and that they have it comes from both the media center and from the school rooms, classrooms. Just some excellent teachers. I know that it's not a classroom management problem. It's just that now that they are in the Chromebooks a lot, when you have 30 students and you're doing research, I think I was told I had never seen it, but that you can manage by seeing what the students are doing on the windows of the computers from one location. I think it would help too in our media center because we often have only one media person at the desk, but you can't tell what they're watching. And they can't often leave the desk because a lot of times we use our library person for testing. So I think the management program is free. There are free ones out there. They're not free or not free. There was one. Anyway, I think there's been a lot of requests. It seems we did have it at one time. And so when you have a lot of students on the computers, just to keep the kids safe and keep them on task, I think I would really appreciate if you would look into that and see what we have for that. It is a time where teachers are retiring and leaving. I noticed that the VDOE has a model exit questionnaire they provide for teachers, and I don't know if we do an anonymous exit questionnaire, but they're providing one. Or they're using one, so maybe that's something we could look into as a model.
We actually do have an exit interview and exit survey that teachers are able to complete.
Is it online, like anonymous or something?
I'm not sure if it's online. It is online.
It is online?
Yes.
Okay, great, thanks. I too have had fun at a lot of different events at the schools. I think that it's really a privilege for all of us to be invited to so many, and they've been good, and that's been excellent. If you would I asked if you don't mind giving a little bit. I saw that there's a parent meeting for the M&M program. Yes. Could you just say a little bit about that, what that is?
Yes, as a matter of fact, I can. In fact, I'm going to call to the podium Mrs. Pamela Connor, our Executive Director for Elementary Leadership. I will say this, the M2M project is a transfer project, which is the majority to minority program that we have housed at three. I'll let Mrs. Connor go.
Housed at 4 of our schools, actually: Booker T. Washington, Elephants Fork Elementary, and Mac Ben Jr., as well as Pioneer Elementary School. It started at Booker T, it expanded to Mac Ben, and now Elephants Fork. This is our 5th year in implementation. Students of minority may transfer to another school of a school in minority. So the white students, Caucasian students at Pioneer Elementary have the opportunity to transfer to Booker T, Mac Ben, or Elephants Fork, and those 3 schools have the opportunity to transfer to Pioneer Elementary School. It also expands into the middle schools for Forest Glen and John F. Kennedy. So we have students that participate in that. Transportation is provided. We have the parent meetings next week, and they're open to anyone to attend at either of the schools.
How many students participate in the program?
84 participate from those 3 schools from the elementary level, and we didn't have anyone from the Pioneer attending the other 3 this year.
I'm sorry, did that include middle, the 84? Did we have any middle schoolers?
Right here. That was elementary.
I think you shared those numbers with me, Mrs.
did. I'm
Connor.
gonna pull those up.
84 total participating in
Okay.
the M2M, and 42 returning students for 2019-2020. 4 going back to their home school for a variety of reasons. 33 fifth grade students who will go to middle school, correct?
Correct.
And 5 have yet to respond as to what they're going to do for next year. That leaves us 42 open slots for the 19-20 school year.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay, thank you. Because of course, we've had issues, thank God, not in our system, and thank God nowhere around, but I guess we've had issues of security, unfortunately, at schools. Do we have the Raptor system up and going in every school? How close are we?
Is the Raptor system up and running in all of our schools by now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yes.
Yes, sir, it is up and running in all of our schools.
Okay.
Okay, and the outside cameras are operational at every school?
We are still installing the outside cameras at the mobile units. They're in the process at the moment.
Okay. And then has there been any discussion when it comes to security of, lately it probably has, but again, I've gotten some requests to look one more time at having some kind of metal detectors at our doors. And this mostly is coming from high school parents and teachers. Still concerned about people coming in doors that are not at the Raptor, doors being open, but the flood of kids in the beginning. I don't know, have we had that conversation?
We did add additional metal detector, I believe, wands in recent years. I don't know how many, but at each of the high schools, we added additional ones, and of course, they randomly select. It isn't something that they do on a regular on an everyday basis. It's just randomly done.
Random. Do we keep track of when they're done randomly? Have they been done this year? Do we keep track of that? I know do we keep track of that when they're done to know that they actually
The individual
they are
schools
done?
actually keep track of when they're done, but I can pull together a report and let you know how often it's been done if you'd like to see that.
It may be in the safety report that they submit.
The metal detectors, that's true.
Okay, great. Well, I said I would ask because it is for all our educators, parents, when there's a flare-up like there's been, I think that we need to really try to keep in mind what can we continue to do to make sure that all our schools are safe. And I think they've gotten a lot safer than 2-3 years ago. I think we've really stepped up our vigilance, and so I appreciate that. So thank you. Thank you, that's all.
Dr. Buck? Okay. Since I went to group activities, everybody said the things that I really want to say. Access was wonderful, as Mr. Mitnick said. I was so proud of our students and their deportment and the things that we're doing. I made a box, and Ms. Mayo told you about that. Was really nice. My little math box was really nice. I was impressed with it. Math was not my favorite subject. The Teacher of the Year banquet was just wonderful. I was really impressed with the things that teachers said. It really made you know how important what we do is, and it sort of gives you an impetus to keep on doing what you're doing. I was so proud of the teachers who were honored and the kinds of things that they did, and the fact that they cared so much. Each of them, there was a theme that went through that was just evident. They cared so much about their students and their student learning. It was just impressive, and I had a great time there. Again, as I always tell you, to keep doing what you're doing because you're doing a marvelous job. Thank you.
I'll piggyback on that Teacher of the Year. We all attended, I think, and it was an excellent evening. As Dr. Buck said, we heard so many positive things about Suffolk Public Schools. I went out of there with a lot of knowledge, and I was very pleased at that evening. We have a lot of great things going on, and it was a night to celebrate those. And I want to thank Dr. Brown, especially, and his staff for, setting that up. and it was a wonderful occasion. I think we all enjoyed it. And I want to thank Mr. Belcher, who came from the Suffolk Education Foundation and presented our Teacher of the Year with a special award. That was very nice of them. The Suffolk Education Foundation is so supportive, and we appreciate our support for all of those activities. We had the Rookie Teacher of the Year award and reception, and of course, the citywide Rookie Teacher of the Year was from Lakeland High School. And we recognized all those rookie teachers, from other schools as well. And they were so energetic. I remember when we looked at them, when I spoke to them at the breakfast, I think, in August, and then I look at them now, it looks like to me they'd aged a little bit, but I don't know. I think some of them have been challenged, but they all looked like they were very happy that afternoon. But anyway, I want to thank Dr. Patterson Oden, right? Patterson Oden, I got it right, for the part she played in that, and Dr. Harrison as well. It was, quite a nice afternoon. And it is a week that we celebrate this week, Teacher Appreciation Week, and that's very important. We have outstanding teachers in our system. A lot of them didn't get awards here, but every one of them should get an award. We can't just give out medals, I guess, but every one of our teachers deserve all the accolades that they receive, and I want to personally thank them for all that they do to make us a success, and I know they go above and beyond the call of duty. I also was a teacher once upon a time, and I know what it's like to be a teacher, and I know how it is to be in the trenches, I used to call it, and I haven't forgotten those things. And I want to say thank you, especially this week was Teacher Appreciation Week. And I opened up my Facebook, and I got a lot of teacher appreciation remarks from students that I taught many, many years ago. And so when I don't get a big paycheck for many things that we do, I got that, which was worth more than any paycheck. I heard from several people that I hadn't heard from in probably 10 years. I do keep in touch with a lot of my students from the past, but that was the highlight of my day. I was so excited, and I read them all, and of course got on there and tried to respond back, but it was just so touching, and I want to thank them especially for that. And they're the little things that are very important. The personal touch is what I think is so important.
Mrs. Byram, you were also recognized as Teacher of the Year for the system years ago as well.
Oh, yes. Right, Dr. Brown? Yes, I was Teacher of the Year in 2000, many moons ago. But, I know what it is, and I do appreciate all of those things. And I appreciate the staff for all that you are doing. You are most appreciated. And I believe that would be all I need to say. I think we need to go into a second closed meeting. Mr. Waller, do you have?
A motion is needed to go into a second closed meeting to discuss the following item and subject pursuant to Section 2.2-3711 of the Code of Virginia 1950 as amended. The discussion and/or consideration of the personnel report regarding specific individuals relative to employment of prospective candidates, resignations, appointments, promotions, and disciplining of specific employees and public officers of the school board, all of which is authorized by Section 2.2-3711(1) of the Code of Virginia 1950 as amended.
Move to approve.
Second.
Board members will please vote. Motion carried.
Yes.
did. I don't see this on. It did. I forgot my earring.